Welcome to this Raw review, ladies and gentlemen. Last week, a lot of reviewers have said that Raw was a very bad show, and I do agree with them. I didn't state that in my own review because the focus I felt was about Vince and The Undertaker. And as much as a lot of people were angry that Undertaker spoke very short and very direct, I felt that's what they were going for. They wanted to just make it simple that Vince, you're going to be saying you want your son to get his ass destroyed? I'll destroy him. But it's not going to be my fault, it's yours. I felt that was the most focused thing that the WWE could do. Now, a lot of people didn't like it. And to be honest, I do agree with them, but I saw it for what it was. As much as the rest of the show was a lot of filler, that's what they were going for. In this show, we got almost exactly the same thing. Now, I'm going to talk about a few things that I felt was the most important. I'm going to start with Tyler Breeze versus Kalisto. Now, this wasn't a title match, and Kalisto won, but this isn't about Tyler Breeze at all. I kind of feel sorry for the guy. He should go back to NXT. He'll probably get more care by the people than he would here. I do agree with the Lex Men. A lot of the people that came out in NXT, they're not being treated well at all. And even though they'll get more money on the main roster, they get more care on NXT. And to be honest, I still haven't really seen the product. I don't know what's holding me back. Maybe it's my frustration with the WWE in general that's still keeping me from looking at it. So maybe you guys can give me an idea what would really motivate me to do NXT reviews. Because I have been considering it. It would be later in the week. Because there's no way I can still do my Booking the Wrestler, the Raw reviews, the TNA reviews, and NXT all at the same time. I just don't have the time for that. So something would get changed. It will probably come at the end of the week. But you guys tell me if you really want to see it or not. But the reason I brought this up is because Kalisto spoke to a beautiful JoJo and then a Ryback. And I felt what Ryback said was a prelude that I think that's going to eventually happen. Kalisto has no one to go up against. He went up against Alberto Del Rio, and they probably will still play it out a little bit. But I feel that Sin Cara will eventually be the opponent for Kalisto for the U.S. title. I do believe it's eventually going to happen. I don't know if that's going to be a good feud, but it is a feud that they look like they may go to eventually. We did see Sin Cara patting him on the shoulder saying, "You did great," but we didn't hear him. But I still believe that's eventually going to happen. Hunico will go up against Kalisto eventually. Now, since I spoke about Ryback, the controversy of Ryback. A lot of people don't like Ryback as he is. If you heard the crowd with the Social Outcasts, and they're still getting some good traction. As stupid as they are, the Social Outcast is beginning to win people over. And I don't mind them myself. I still believe Bo Dallas is a good straight man. But here's the thing. I saw the Lex Men and I saw the Sleg Daddy. And they don't really know what's going on with Ryback if this is nothing but crap. To be honest, this is probably nothing but crap. They really don't know what to do with Ryback. But I will say, if they continue, cut out him talking. Make it incredibly short, because that conversation he had with Kalisto was a bit too long. It made sense, but it was too freaking long. Make his segments short like a Roman Reigns and he will get over more. Because of this new attitude they're showing. He goes to the ring, he destroys his opponent, and he leaves without getting his hand raised. It's actually a wise thing for a Ryback. It's actually the way he was when he first started to feed me more chants in the very beginning of 2012. He went in, he did what he needed to do, and he generally just moved on. And that was it. I mean, they didn't do exactly like this, but it has the same kind of feel that he's there, he does what he needs to do, and it's over. So if they keep this up, he could get some traction as long as, one, the segments for him are short, and they don't change his character from just being, look, I'm tired of this, I want to be the spotlight. He's not an in-betweener. He's still pretty much a face. This is what I'm getting from him. And that's that. Now, Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. I feel sorry for Bray because he's really doing nothing. If you truly still love Bray, I do care for Bray. Feel sorry for him because he's really doing nothing. Seeing the end of the match, when it was over, when there was no winner, and him facing the Triple H himself, gave a moment of what could have been. And that's the problem. With Bray Wyatt, this is a could have been moment for him. Facing Triple H, looking at that title, shouldn't Bray have already had his shot trying to get that title last year? Or doing it this year? Instead of a Roman Reigns or a Dean Ambrose, you had the chance, WWE, to do something with Bray Wyatt, and you did nothing with him. And that's so sad. Sad. Freaking sad. Now here's something I was worried about. Y2J and the AJ Styles. I was very worried that they're actually going to team these guys up for a while. Now everyone said it's only going to be a short time, and I knew there was a great chance it was. But here's the thing. I would have liked them not to go with the tag team now because it would have been better later in the months. You could have kept doing something different with Y2J. You could have kept doing something different with AJ Styles. If you had made the segments they have dealt with, instead of fighting one another, if they talked more than they fought, by the time of WrestleMania coming around, this would have made more better sense. If you have done this outside the wrestling ring and outside the arenas and let them deal with each other out there, it would have been better. But now, dealing with it like this, it was so rushed. As much as I still love AJ Styles, and I do, I still care about Y2J. I do. I just don't see this being interesting going into WrestleMania. There's nothing here unless one or two things happen. AJ wins the title, or Chris Jericho wins the title, and they're about to challenge for it at WrestleMania. 2, one of them has to have a match with the other with a stipulation that either one of them leaves. That's the only other way. Or maybe you do a I Quit match. Either one of them has to leave the company, or they have to have an I Quit match. They gotta have a stipulation. If there's no stipulation, this really made no freaking sense. And it doesn't give any traction to AJ. It'll be like AJ had won the title, and I was worried he was gonna win it. Now, the Rock segment. It just didn't feel very good. I'm sorry, it was on Twitter, but it just didn't feel very interesting. It just didn't. And I like The Rock. Now, I really don't care about the League of Nations versus Dolph. The only reason I'm mentioning it is that Dolph is a waste of time. I don't agree with the Slag Daddy saying fuck Dolph Ziggler. I've said it and I'll say it again. He's a mid-card jobber that can go into the main event and be a main event jobber. He can hold the title as a transitional champion. And we would know how much he would truly be over if he had only been given the title for a certain amount of time, and this is the world title, and there was nobody with him. If he held it for 3 or 4 months, people would truly see how good or bad he truly is on the mic and his attitude. But here, this is what he truly is. He's a jobber that can go into the mid-card, the upper card, and the main title scene, hold the title for a month, drop it, help do some storylines, and that's it. Seeing this, I don't give a fuck. I just don't. I don't hate him, but I don't really care. The one thing I did care about, and I'm not talking about the thing I hate yet, but I'm mixing it up. The one thing I cared about was Sami Zayn returning to beat the crap out of Kevin Owens. Was the Neville Owens match good? It was okay. The crowd really made it for me. But I really didn't think it was that important to see Neville try to go after the IC title. But Sami Zayn going after the title, I do have an interest because it makes sense about what happened with Royal Rumble. This is what the Luxmen was hoping for. And to be honest, I didn't think they'd go there because the way the WWE has been lately, they've been scatterbrained. They should have brought him back in the beginning of February and let it build up into them facing one another instead of a couple of weeks before it even happens. We got barely a month. And now you're going to have to build up something with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Instead of doing 2 months build up, you have barely a month's build up. And I think that's dumb. It's scatterbrained. Here's the thing I hated the most out of the entire situation. And it's not Brie dealing with Lana. I will get to that in a moment. It is the last kicker with the boss dealing with Team Bad. I've said it before. I said it again. I'm going to keep saying it again and again and again. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, if this is right. Naomi and Tamina 3 weeks ago tapped out. They did. Then last week, if I'm correct, Naomi tapped out. And now again, Naomi tapped out. What the blue fuck is this? Why is Naomi constantly keeping this same premise of looking very strong? She's a very good wrestler. She is. If you take away the high flying, she's actually a decent grappler wrestler. She has a good, interesting personality, even as a heel. And you're letting her tap the fuck out. Not once. 3 times now in 3 weeks. Not counting about before that, when she had to get her ass handed to her. 3 weeks in a row, she's tapped. What the fuck is this? This is freaking ridiculous. And then worse. No, actually, she didn't tap out last week. She won a match last week and wasn't allowed to even enjoy it because of what happened with Brie and what happened with Lana. I apologize for that. You see, I'm angry. I'm botching here. 3 weeks in a row, not counting last week. I'm sorry. She's tapped out. It's stupid. Now, let's get to Brie, Summer, and Lana. I didn't care about the match with Summer and Brie. The match sucked. I'm sorry, it just did. I just didn't care. Seeing Total Divas in the middle of that match and Nikki's worried about Brie riding a freaking scooter. It's the reason why in Total Divas, whenever I have watched it, I literally go online and when I find the video, I skip all the scenes of Nikki and Brie because they're fucking boring. And I'll go to a Naomi, I'll go to a Natalya, or I'll go to Alicia Fox, even though she's paired with Paige, who isn't very interesting, who's kind of bratty. Even if when she wants to have a good attitude, she does. I skip that shit. But after the match was over, seeing a Lana beat the crap out of a Brie, I actually cared about. I wish I could have been I wish they had changed the angle because her legs were this wide. I'm not being nasty, ladies and gentlemen, but if she's gonna wear a tight jean dress, there's a price to pay. And the price that she would pay is if she's gonna do a somewhat of a deep split to put Brie into the mat face first. You would expect that you would see panty. And unfortunately, for most men, they didn't get a chance to see it unless they were in the crowd. Now, I understand why they did that angle, which is understandable, but I would have liked to see it. But anyway, this is supposedly leading into a WrestleMania match. But the question is, you actually believe this is going to be a good match? Do you actually believe the storyline works? Because the only reason they're there is as Brie talking about, well, my husband and my sister's out. And then Lana says, well, my husband doesn't get sick. And you don't belong here. But then, well, I'm not wrestling, but still, I don't want you here. Makes no sense. But the final thing we need to talk about is Vince, Shane, and the Shane beatdown. Well, not say beatdown, beat him up. Because this was all about Shane showing his ability to still fight. The Shane beat him up. He got a huge pop when he came out. But here's the problem with me personally. He spoke well. Even going like this, with his wrist limp, doesn't mean he's gay. And that's the truth. all gay people don't do this. Just in case someone says it. But the point of this wasn't about his wrist or his talking. He did very well in talking. He did a somewhat decent job beating down the security. The problem with me was he wasn't there after that. You didn't know backstage segments? Unless I missed it. You guys tell me below. But there were no backstage segments. We only got Dolph Ziggler speaking on behalf of Shane. Couldn't you put Shane with Steph? Couldn't you put Shane with Triple H? You could have avoided doing the segment with Triple H and Dean Ambrose to have Shane and Triple H talk. To have Stephanie and Triple H talk in the back. Hell, Vince showing the picture of Shane and him together when they were very young helped a bit with the segment, but it didn't feel like it was enough. We needed more of Shane. Last week we had The Undertaker. Now we had Shane, quick and short. And I feel like that's a waste of energy. Because the energy they just wasted opening the show with Shane, they could have added more energy. They could have done something more, because you could have dropped the Triple H and Dean Ambrose segment. You didn't have to have it. You could have Shane interact with Triple H. You could have had Shane interact with Stephanie. I felt that parts of this show were just wasted energy. And as much as I still want to see Shane versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, I just don't feel like they're doing a good job promoting Shane. Yeah, they had a good vid pack, but that vid pack was not enough. I needed more Shane. Not a vid pack of what Shane was when he was maybe 8 to 10 years younger. Because he's 1 year older than me. I'm going to be 45. He's 46 right now. He's not 47 yet. So seeing him in a younger age when he was more in his prime is not enough with a small fight. You need to see more of Shane. You need to hear him talk more in the back. You need to see more of him. And I just felt like they missed the mark with this. They really missed the mark. They tried to do exactly what they did last week, and it didn't work very well. But this is just my point of view. I hope you enjoyed the Zane view. Please give me a comment below. I will be releasing my Mark Henry Booking the Wrestler in the next day or so. You guys have a good day and have a good night. Peace!